Hello and welcome to the podcast. I am Ben Kaysen here with Joe and Renee Prutch. Joe and Renee, how y'all doing today?
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Fantastic, Ben.
There we go. So we've done a couple of these episodes where we've been talking more of like business advice with you guys for young business owners. So we talked about setting your company culture. We talked about getting started, taking the leap. So now we want to talk more in the franchise department. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about franchises and how that's built. It's really been enlightening for me to get to know you guys as, you know, a client of ours. Yes. I used to think that all of that was very corporate, but it's owned by local awesome people like you guys. So let's talk about franchises. So what does it look like to get into a franchise like Baskin-Robbins or PJ's Coffee?
Right. You know, the structure is completely different. Behind the franchise is people that own it. Okay. So let's start with PJ's Coffee, for example. They're Ballard Brothers, and there's 4 of them. So their business is called Ballard Brands. And they have like 4 or 5 different franchises under that name, and PJ's Coffee is one of them. So inside of their structure, you know, they have corporate people. They have people in marketing. They have people in putting together the locations for you. They have people putting together the FCC, you know, the franchise agreement forms. They have people together in marketing, whatever area it is. And so that each person specializes in that area, which I think is really, really neat. And then with the franchise, of course, you pay franchise fees to cover all that. So you have your monthly, and they actually take it out daily on PJ's Coffee, is the royalty fees, and then you have another fee for the advertising fees.
Gotcha.
So in addition to that, you'd still do your own advertising outside of those fees.
Gotcha.
But those fees go and they support that whole entire organization that they have. So we're just not one location. Right now with PJ's Coffee, they have over 200 locations. Yeah. So all those funds go into those pots, and then it's goes back to all the franchisees. Gotcha.
So like if you guys all have been putting in your money into this, and then PJ's Coffee says corporate level, all right, we're going to buy a Super Bowl commercial. Yes. That would be that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But in the local things is going to be more of you guys.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, you know, we're with Wake Up Pueblo. To help us get with the social media side of it. We've done newspaper, we've done billboards, radio. We have it all tried it all in the past. So we know marketing, social media marketing is where to go now. So many people are on their phones. These phones are so advanced. They have every type of quality that you need on them. And people, you know, they're streaming off of them. They're looking for every need that they have. So we really felt that was our next step. And so to come into Wake Up Pueblo and have them start putting together some content for us, that really helps. And now I got to tell you, PJ's corporate is seeing it and really liking it. And what we're doing is going to help their other franchisees and their locations. Sure. So they're trying to have them, hey, go ahead and share this, or look at this video, or why don't you look at your own local market? So what it's going to do is create more awareness of this brand, and it does benefit everybody.
Yeah. That makes sense. So the local will benefit the national.
Yeah, you know, in being a franchisee, there's a lot of do's and don'ts. You know, in being so. So you gotta follow their guidelines to an extent, and that's part of it. Yeah. I mean, being a franchisee, you have to follow their guidelines, and that's kind of, the do's and don'ts are kind of tough.
Yeah.
You know, it really is, because some ideas you're like, I'd really like to run with this idea. And, and it's like, they might not.
Doesn't fit that
It
brand
doesn't fit that
built.
brand. Yeah. So that's important to know when you are a president.
Yeah, there definitely is a big difference in that. So, you know, we've been in the garage door industry for 30, 40 years. Yeah. And that's us. You know, we don't have to answer to anybody else but Joe and I.
Right.
So when we went with our first franchise, which was Baskin-Robbins, and to have to follow their policies, procedures, and keeping in mind that the decisions we make do affect all their other locations.
Yeah.
So that's why they stay so strict with all of their policies and procedures, because we can't sell something different in our store and go against the brand. So you have to follow their policies, which is, I think it is really good because it helps our location and it keeps up that image, it keeps up that quality, and it keeps up everything.
It keeps everybody on the same page.
It does keep everybody on the same page.
Keeps everybody
yeah.
on the same page.
And then, again, with the corporate side, we have operations managers that come in. We just had Eric show up from Baskin-Robbins 2 days ago, unannounced. And they do that twice a year.
Just come check in
They
on
come
everything.
in, check in, unannounced, and then another 2 times a year that are announced. So your stores are a little bit different when they're announced versus unannounced.
Sure. Take a little effort to make sure.
Takes a little effort. You're cleaning it, you're getting ready, they're coming.
Yeah.
And right now our ice cream stores are busy because it's the season. It's time.
Yeah.
So the cleaning doesn't get done quite as well. The deep cleaning.
Yeah.
And so what we do with that is we'll have meetings and we'll have the kids come in and everybody's there for 2 hours and we just start from the ceiling all the way down and
Just
we
knock it out.
Knock it out. And that'll get us through the season. But then they have to do their daily cleaning.
Yeah.
But our stores scored, I think, 95 and 97 on it.
Awesome.
So we were still top of the other ones for unannounced. So we were pretty impressed with that.
That's Renee snapping the whip of making sure our kids are good in cleaning every single day.
Yeah.
And if they're standing around, there's things to be done.
They get the phone call.
Grab a broom,
Yeah.
So and we're pretty sticklers on that. So
Sure.
that's why we rate so high, and when we get unannounced visits,
Because it's like it's an announced visit all the time. You guys could just walk in and hey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and then like PJ's, they send out secret shoppers to our
interesting.
store, and there's
Mole
like
shoppers, you never know.
8 of those
Never
a
know.
year,
Yeah.
and you never know. And they can go through the drive-through, they can come through the lobby. They're ordering. They could hire you and say, Ben, can you go in and be our secret shopper for this month?
Yeah.
And so we get those report back, and thank goodness we've scored really, really
Yeah.
high on all of those. But it keeps your standards up. It really
That's awesome.
does.
Yeah.
And I like that, and I mean, we're no different in our garage store side, even though we don't have unannounced visits and we don't have the secret shoppers, we
Yeah.
know our standards and we know what we need to uphold and what we expect of our employees, and what we expect out of ourselves. So it's important.
Have you guys had a time yet with either franchise where your values or what you wanted to do maybe clashed with the corporate identity?
No, not necessarily.
No. Our values are pretty much in line with what.
Yeah, we actually get told that they wish they had more franchisees.
Not like you guys?
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you do get ones, they're going to
surprising.
challenge them.
Sure.
That's just their nature or whatever. And their values are a little bit different. And so they don't quite see it the way that corporate wants it to be seen.
Sure.
But we just try to look at all the strengths and all the positive
Yeah.
in every situation and grow with it and make it the best. Don't argue, don't fight against it. Just
Yeah.
it's working. They have people out there that are testing markets. They have people in their fields that they know what they're talking about. And what's amazing with a lot of these corporations and these franchises is these people come from other industries.
Yeah.
They may have been, Jimmy John's or wherever else, and they change their fields quite often.
Yeah.
Because they like that challenge of going into another brand and seeing what they could do for that brand. So, you're meeting and you're getting the knowledge of these people that have years of experience.
Yeah.
So why not learn from it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for maybe a young business owner, so say we go back, how long has PJ's been open? 3 years, 4 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yes.
So we go back 2.5 years. You guys are trying to decide if you want to open up a coffee shop. What's the benefit of you guys deciding, hey, we're going to align with PJ's versus, oh, we're going to make a cup of Joe coffee and start something new?
Yeah.
I think it made it easier for us to make that decision, being that we're Baskin-Robbins franchisees.
Yeah.
That we kind of had an inkling of what to expect.
Sure.
But boy, what for us doing due diligence of coffee tasting and doing our research of
Right.
coffee, we knew what we wanted in a franchise.
Yeah.
But we didn't know exactly what coffee we wanted.
Sure.
Yeah, and I agree with Joe, but talk about the matchup. And I think you do your due diligence when you're going into these franchises because, of course, they're interviewing you and you are interviewing them. And we want to make sure our alignments are the same.
Gotcha.
So Joe and I, we went to several different franchises in the coffee industry. And we would go to stores, try their products, check out their store, kind of see, how their baristas are and stuff like that. And we just couldn't find that match. We just couldn't find it, either be it on the corporate side, the coffee side, their store side, whatever. And then one day I was back on the internet researching coffee shops and here comes PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. And I hadn't seen it. We've been out to 2-3 different other places. And I was like, well, where has this one been? Yeah. So I called the number on there and I ended up talking to Danielle, and she is actually in the franchise development side.
Oh, cool.
And she was so nice. And we talked for about 20 minutes and she tells me, you hold on. She goes, I need you to talk to Ryan. So she gets Ryan on the line, which he is then her boss. And Ryan and we talked for about an hour. And so the connection was there right away. Yeah. The knowledge was there and the mutual respect was there right away. So then what I ended up doing for the next 8 weeks with Ryan, I had an hour-long conversation once a week with him.
Cool.
So we would go over their expectations, our expectations, their policies, their procedures, their corporate inside out, all the educational stuff of it. And then if we really felt that it was a brand for us and they felt it was a brand that they wanted us to join, then we were invited out there to New Orleans.
Gotcha.
Cool. And so what we did is we did the factory tour. We met Felton Jones, the roast master. We met the owners, the brothers, and the whole staff inside of it. And talk about an instant connection. We felt like family.
Felt comfortable.
Yeah.
We really felt comfortable and knew we made the right decision.
Good.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So they would take us to dinner and 2 of the brothers would join us. And I was like, I wasn't quite, I couldn't eat it all. And when I give it to the owner, one of the brothers, he eats off my food. It's just like they're us. They're just people just like us. And when you feel that and you're treated that way, that mutual respect, it's like, this is it. Yeah. So, and it hasn't changed. It has not changed at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Like what kind of support do you feel like you have from corporate, whether it's Baskin Robbins or PJ's, like just day to day? How do you feel like that?
Yeah. So, again, they're always testing new products. So they're out there, let's go to the ice cream side. They have actually scientists that they hire to create ice cream.
Okay.
Taste buds, flavors, what mixes together, what doesn't mix together, what goes in this industry, what goes in this area, because they have them in Kuwait. So their diets are completely different than the United States. Or Colorado could be different than Texas. Sure. So, they try to tailor, but yet keep us all with the majority of the same ice creams. And then diets are changing. A lot of gluten-frees are starting to happen. Yeah. Non-dairy. A lot of kids and people can't have dairy products. So right now our flavor of the month is a raspberry made with oat milk. Oh. So people that non-dairy, they could eat that.
That's awesome.
But unfortunately, it has streusel in it and granola bars pieces, which took it to the gluten side. So I was getting requests of that would have been an ideal one for somebody that can't do the dairy and can't do the gluten, but it missed it. So, but that's what they do. We can't create that kind of stuff.
Sure.
They have factories. They have people in place that are doing this. Same thing with creating cakes, always coming up with new designs, new ideas, packaging, environmental friendly on the packaging, the straws, the containers, whatever. So, you have all those areas that we take for granted. All we know is we order, it's in our store, we sell it, and we're good to go.
Yeah. And that's why you have roast masters.
Yes.
That's why roast masters exist. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Is they're always doing research. They're always doing research on the coffee bean and how to dry it and how to
getting farms, setting up farms.
Yep.
Yeah, because there's so much behind that. We'll go back now to the coffee side. These farms, they harvest only once a year. And then I believe on some of their fields, you can't replant. You got to rotate your fields.
Oh, yeah.
You got to make sure, and these beans have to be of quality. So PJ's now has 2 farms, one in Honduras and one Nicaragua. Yeah, that they're dedicated farms now directly for PJ's. Yeah. But they still have other farms like in Brazil and other locations, just because certain beans can only grow in certain climates.
Gotcha.
Certain soils and stuff like that. So you have to appreciate that, and then the labor and the intensity and everything that goes into that. Again, as a small business owner, we have none of that knowledge.
Sure.
We get my coffee in, I get this in, and it's fantastic. That's all I know.
Product's not getting stagnant.
It's not getting stagnant. It's always working. So those are the benefits that you have with having franchises. Gotcha. And that's why it's really, really important to pick the right one, because you could have franchises that are not quite developed or don't have that strength behind them. Yeah. And so you have to make sure that it's there.
Gotcha. So really vet which one you're going to pick.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. They take the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, so the support that they give you is large.
Yeah, and to open up a store is very, very expensive. You have a tenant finish. You have to do the interior design as their design. You bring in all of their equipment from their qualified vendors, their tables, their chairs, the dipping cabinets, whatever it be. It's very, very expensive to set up a store. So again, you want to have that strength of that franchise name and that corporation before you make that investment, because it's a huge investment then on our end that needs to be successful. And then same with the coffee side, PJ's, we were the first for their new interior trade, that they changed it up. They want more of the New Orleans style and everything. So we did that, but it's just, it's very, very costly.
Costly investment.
Yep. So you guys are taking a risk. You want to make sure you're taking a risk with a company that is strong and ready to roll.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So real quick, like if somebody's in that space where they're, all right, I want to get a franchise, I'm looking around, how do I look around? What do I look for? Like, what are the keys that you guys were like, okay, that's why I picked this one. That's why I picked Baskins. That's why I picked PJ's.
Right. First of all, you want to go in an industry that it's a passion for you. You have an interest of. Yeah. Because if you go into something that you have no clue with, you're gonna be frustrated. But I worked at Baskin Robbins in high school. Yeah. And that's how I met Joe. And so I loved that. I loved the ice cream. I mean, and again, it was here in Pueblo for 25 years. It was gone for 16 years. So during that 16 years, Joe and I would drive up to Colorado Springs because that was the closest Baskin Robbins. Sure. So when we were ready to start looking at franchises, that was the first one that came to me. It was like, oh my gosh, let's see if we could bring that back.
I've already had a really positive experience with it.
Positive experience. Yeah. It has a history. It has longevity. It's been around for a long, long time. Yeah. So it took me 2 years on the back end work to get us qualified and to bring it back to Pueblo. And then we already had the building and the location, and it was a non-traditional, it was a metal building. We were going to add a drive-through, we're going to add a patio. So we did a lot of different stuff that, thank goodness, in its Dunkin' brands, was able to, they let us try it, and it was very successful. And now a lot of their stores are starting to go to that kind of stuff. Cool. Because it helps them all. Yeah.
That's awesome. Sweet.
Yeah. So I would answer that. Also, would be something you're passionate about. Something that you feel passionate about, and they're looking for you. They're looking for that certain person that's passionate about their ice cream or coffee, as you are about finding a franchise.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yep.
Cool. That's awesome, guys. Sweet. Well, if you want to leave us with just like one quick word of wisdom, people that are starting into maybe getting a franchise, what's one thing you would tell them when they get into it?
I would tell them, don't get discouraged. look at more than you think you need to look at. So if you looked at 10, look at 20. If you looked at 20, look at 30.
Broaden your
search.
Yep.
Don't rush through your search. Ask these franchises for existing franchisees, contacts. I get so many phone calls from people that have interest in PJs and Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
They call me because they're doing their due diligence, and I'll answer any questions that they have. So if they're looking at a franchise and they're saying, no, I will not give you any contact information, that could be a red flag.
Could be a problem.
Yeah, but you may have to go through a few more steps before they give you that. You can't just call them up right away and say, hey, I'm Renee and I want your list of people I could talk to. You got to kind of earn that trust with them.
Yeah.
But that should be part of your due diligence, even before you get way into it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that would be mine.
Yeah. That sums it up. I mean,
Awesome.
that would be mine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
Or you have a wife that says, hey, we're going to do this.
Right.
And you're like,
We're going to look at this franchise. Okay, honey. Let's do that. So, or you can be like me.
you guys. Oh, man. Well, thank you guys so much again for your time, as always. Time and advice. Y'all are awesome.
You're welcome.
Real quick, so how do people in Pueblo get to Baskin Robbins or PJ's Coffee?
Okay, well, one location is at 2704 South Prairie Avenue on the south side of town, and the other one is 922 East Hailey Lane, Second Baskin Robbins, and PJ's Coffee of New Orleans.
Gotcha. Perfect. And then Prutch's Garage. How do we get to
Prutch's Garage Door is 2710 South Prairie. It's right next door to Baskin Robbins on Prairie.
Perfect.
So stop in and say hi.
Stop and say hi. Awesome. Well, go check out the rest of these podcasts as well if you're listening to this right here. You can follow Baskin Robbins and PJ's Coffee here in town. You can get connected with them for Pueblo, as well as, just connected with Joe and Renee. I mean, they've been business leaders here in town for a long time. How long has it been since you guys started the garage door company?
34 years.
Yes.
34
Yeah.
years.
34 years, yeah.
So you got a lot of know-how. So we did a couple of...
A lot of hard knocks.
So we did 2 previous episodes about business advice. Go check those out and keep your eye out for the next one coming out right here with our podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.